First on the Kelly File tonight, just hours until opening day of the highly anticipated 9/11 Museum. And we have a sneak peek of the controversial Al-Qaeda film some Muslim groups are protesting. Critics demanded that this film be re-edited to remove references to jihad, but the museum has refused. Families of 9/11 victims and first responders were recently invited to preview the museum before opening day, and documentary filmmaker Dennis Michael Lynch was also there.
I don't understand why anybody of the Muslim faith would feel dishonored or disrespected by that video. Did it change the way I feel about Islam and Muslims? No, not one bit. My feelings are already established long before I saw that film. Jihad, Al-Qaeda, they define the words in there. I learned a lot by that video.
The jihad and terrorists, those words need to be in the video because that's what happened. Those are the events that led up to 9/11. So,
did it change your feeling about Muslims at all?
It didn't change my feelings against Muslims whatsoever, no.
The political correctness is what got us here to begin with. They want this words jihad and radical Islam out of there. I think that's totally wrong. That doesn't change my opinion on Muslims. There's bad people in every culture, and that is a bad group who wants to destroy anyone who isn't radical.
So the video didn't sway you a certain way?
No, not at all.
Joining me now, Dennis Michael Lynch. He's the producer of We Ride to D.C. and They Come to America. Dennis, good to see you.
Good to see you.
So you've had a look at this place. It's become so controversial. Some believe that the terrorists are too highlighted, receive too much play. Controversy about the remains of the victims still being in the museum over or underneath a gift shop where you can pick up trinkets. And then, of course, the controversy over this film and whether it should be referencing jihad, which is offensive to some Muslims. Your thoughts on what people were talking about there and having seen it yourself?
Well, the video is spot on, and it can't be changed. As far as I'm concerned, they're lucky I didn't make the video. It tells the story. Unfortunately, the way the story tells itself in the video, it almost sounds as if Al-Qaeda quit when the towers came down. That's the part I didn't like. It was almost like, oh, all right, everything's done.
You thought it needed to be harder on Al-Qaeda.
Oh, it needs to be brutally hard. This is the biggest attack that's ever taken place on American soil. 3,000 people died that day. And I watched firemen. Some of them I'm related to yesterday when I was at the memorial. They walk right through that room. They won't give that room the time of day. They won't watch the video. They won't look at the pictures of the 19 terrorists.
And I hear that they're prominently displayed, the pictures of
you know,
terrorists. Is that an issue?
You could walk past them. I mean, it's not that bad. But in my personal opinion, there's no reason for them to be there because you're immortalizing these people. And the next psycho lunatic who's got an idea about doing something in Manhattan or somewhere else across the country, and we know that's going on every single day, they go there and say, oh, I could get a monument to my name. Because that's really, in a way, what that room is like.
Let's talk about the remains, because there are still remains of victims there.
Over 1,000.
And now the placement of this museum is basically they're adjacent to a gift shop, and some of the survivors, the relatives, are saying this is outrageous.
Yeah, they're very upset. And, you know, that museum is done beautifully. It's very tasteful, except for the gift shop and the food court. The remains is the problem. The families didn't want the remains in there. And they are in there, and they're underground. And the atmosphere outside the museum, Megan, it's almost circus-like. I mean, people walking around with balloons and people going up into the windows with their face smushed up against the window. That's sacred ground. Bicycle guys riding around on bicycles, they're going to have to do something about this. And I don't know about you, but if my family member died on there, I wouldn't want them buried underneath the museum by a gift shop and people paying $25 a head to come in. It's completely disrespectful. Completely disrespectful.
I mean, they say that you can go in and you can, the Holocaust Museum in D.C., the Pearl Harbor Memorial in Hawaii, all of these have gift shops, and yet this is very recent in, you know, the grand scheme of time. The remains are right there, and you're talking about 3,000 dead Americans, and you can go buy a sweatshirt with pictures of the Twin Towers right next to their remains
for $100, or you could buy a hoodie or a baseball cap. I mean, that part of it, when you walk in there, you feel like you're in Yankee Stadium. It seems like this is the sort of thing that always happens. We can't score. We can't get into the goal line. We get all the way to the 5-yard line, and you just can't push it over the goal line.
There are going to be some controversies with anything like this. I mean, that seems like a rather big one, but in any event, they say they need it to help finance the museum and so on.
The guy running the museum's making $500,000. Why?
Got to leave it at that. Dennis, good of you to be here.
Good seeing you.